This is our second parent meeting, our second parent virtual meeting this week. We did have one earlier, July 31st. We thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your continued support. So I would like to recognize our panelists, our principals and directors on the call today. I'm Dr. Jennifer Spring. I'm the superintendent of the Cohoes City School District. Our host and director of technology is Sylvie Joseph. He's with us as well. We have Cliff Bird, Principal Bird from Abram Lansing. We have Erin Hill. Mrs. Hill is our director of special programs. We have Jacqueline DeCero. Mrs. DeCero is the principal of Van Skyke Grade School. We have Mark Perry. Principal Perry is the principal of Harmony Hill Elementary. And we have James Stapleton, who is our Director of Facilities, and Peggy O'Shea, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, and Stacy Mackey, our School Business Official. And we may have others who are joining us. So we thank everybody, all of our panelists for joining us, as well as our attendees. So let's get started. So here you can see, this is our open doors at the middle school. We see Principal Martinelli pointing. He's pointing to something down the hallway there, and giving a tour to our new sixth grade students, new to the middle school, and their parents. And we appreciate that guided tour. If you're interested, please look on our website, and you can contact the middle school. So if you have not already signed up for Parent Square, please sign up. This is our new communication platform. You need to be in the know, especially this year. We will be pushing out messages district-wide, and your principals and teachers will also be pushing out messages to you. So and you can respond. So this is a two-way communication tool. We're excited about it, and we really think that it will help us communicate during this crisis, this pandemic. Another way we communicate with our families is through our website, cohoes.org. So please visit our website. We are constantly updating it. You'll see a toolbar at the top of the web page, which has links to our school reopening plan. Our entire plan is there. Frequently asked questions. Some of you may have your questions answered just by looking at that document. Also identifying meetings that are coming up, and prominently displaying the link to COVID-19 testing. Again, this is all per the governor, contact tracing, and our fully virtual model. So we're very excited to announce our virtual Parent Academy. So next week on August 25th, I will also be here, and you're welcome to join me again for reopening updates. So at any time, if you're not able to join us on these meetings, we are recording them, and we are posting them to our website. September 1st, off to a great start, social emotional supports. We will have district personnel presenting on that so that we can support our students in this transition back to school, either virtually or in person. September 14th, navigating the district's technology platforms to support remote learning. Schoology, Google Classroom, what is this all about, and how can I support my child? And Zoom, Google Meet. So definitely, please attend that one for more knowledge on technology. If you have questions during the presentation, please email them to feedback@cohoes.org. So we are beginning school on September 9th for both virtual and on-site. I know the high school has a specific plan for ninth graders, so make sure you're watching your push the messages from Parent Square or Schoology from your principals. So we have a lot to do before then, though. So we will have superintendent conference days on September 3rd and September 8th. We have a lot to do with our staff. COVID safety training, Ed Law 2D, Parent Square, Schoology and Google Classroom, ClassLink, social emotional planning, and meeting the learning needs of all of our students. So if you have signed up for the fully virtual model, we are working on a date for Chromebook and materials distribution. So we will give you more information on that, but what I can tell you at this time is that we are distributing one Chromebook per family. And we will talk more about that in a little bit on a future slide. So important, every morning you will get a reminder through Parent Square, and you must attest to questions relating to their health. First of all, does my child have a fever greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit? So I would recommend getting a supply of thermometers in your house so that you can take your child's temperature each morning. You'll be attesting that your child is not experiencing COVID-related symptoms such as cough, shortness of breath, chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, or even a stomach ache. That's what Dr. DeTerzi has advised us as well. And that your child has not come in contact with someone in the past 14 days who is experiencing symptoms related to COVID or who has tested positive for COVID, and your child has not traveled to an area which requires a 14-day quarantine upon return. So when you answer these questions, if you answer yes to any of them, your response will be sent to the principal, nurse, and main office. So what happens if you don't submit? Well, we are asking if you can, that would help us out, because logistically this is definitely an undertaking at each one of our buildings. But if you are not able to do that, I know some mornings are a little hectic, then we will take your child's temperature at school. So we have purchased additional handheld infrared thermometers, and we are also purchasing self-service thermal scanners so that we can quickly take students' temperatures upon arrival. Students will not be allowed into the building unless their temperatures are taken. Students will be viewing a COVID safety training video, and we will continue to provide reminders and training, which includes mask wearing, how to take a mask off properly, how to dispose of a mask, make sure our masks are washed, respiratory hygiene, how to wash your hands, building procedures. What will this school year look like for students? We want to make sure that we clearly have expectations and we review them with students so that they're aware of them, they're fully aware of them. So face coverings or masks. All staff and students in grades pre-K through 12 will be required to wear a mask, even when a 6-foot distance is maintained. Masks must cover the nose and the mouth. Acceptable ones include cloth masks, surgical masks, and I know gaiters and bandanas have been viewed as not as effective, but I think the research out there is a little mixed. Okay, so Dan Martinelli didn't have a WebEx panelist email link. If somebody can send that. Okay, Mary is working on it. Okay, thank you. All right, so face shield. You may send your child with a face shield, but they also must wear a mask in addition to the face shield. So mask breaks will occur periodically throughout the day. Ideally, these will occur outside. And principals are working with staff to develop protocols, and we will share these with our families and our students. So, what if your child maybe is a non-compliant mask wearer? So, we are recommending that you practice at home, that you have masks at home, and you go out in public, and your child gets comfortable wearing masks and understands that this is at this time a necessary part of leaving our homes. So, we will work with your child. So, I don't want parents to worry about this, and we definitely will get supports in place through the nurse, through the principal, to positively redirect. So if your child has a medical reason, and you believe your child would qualify for a mask exemption, please contact Peggy O'Shea, our assistant superintendent, and she will work with you. We will require medical documentation and a release of information so our school medical director, which is Dr. DeTerzi, can be in communication with your medical provider for your child. So we will be providing masks for students, disposable masks, but you are also encouraged to provide your own. Again, acceptable face coverings and those that are clean. Masks are required to be worn on the school bus this year. Okay, so I'd like to announce our principal of our middle school, Dan Martinelli, is on our panel at this time. Thank you. So we've had many questions around what if a student gets sick while at school? What happens? Well, first of all, I'd like to go back to the health screening. That tool, it's very important that you take your child's temperature and that you answer those questions each day so that we can catch a child who may be sick or who may be presenting any type of symptoms before they come to school. Once kids come to school and they're sick, they have symptoms, again, there's a chance that they can spread that. So that's why we do have that health screening attestation in place. And again, we're counting on you to take that seriously as best you can each morning. So thank you. But in the event you send your child off to school and your child appeared fine, your child didn't have a fever, so you send your child, of course. So the student will be sent to our health safety room for evaluation, and we will take the temperature of the child again. And if the child does have a temperature or is presenting those symptoms that are COVID related, then we will call you, and we will have you pick up your child as soon as possible, right? Because if your child does have germs, we want to just make sure that we aren't spreading those to other people in our building. So we will have the nurse escort your child to the front of the building so you can pick up your child at the entrance. We will only allow parents inside the building if there is a health or safety issue and we need you to enter. So when can you return to the school setting if you do have COVID related symptoms or you have a temperature? So there are three different scenarios here. One scenario is that you go to your healthcare provider, which is what we will recommend, and you have your child COVID tested. So you may ask, well, where can I do that? Well, we are not a testing site at this time in the Cohoes City School District, except Dr. DeTerzi is, and she will start testing once the school year begins. And also your healthcare provider can also point you to where your child may be able to receive a test. So if the test comes back negative, and also your child is fever-free for 72 hours and symptom-free, then you may send your child back to school. So if the test comes back positive, all right, So then we will defer to the Albany County, the Albany Health Department, and their regulations usually that you have to self-isolate for a period of at least 10 days from the onset of symptoms. And at that time, we would also activate our contact tracing program. And I do have another slide and I will go through that. So let's say you do not take your child for a COVID test, you do not take your child to your healthcare provider. Then to send your child back, your child must be fever-free for 72 hours and 10 days since the first symptoms appeared. So what if there is a positive case of COVID-19 in the school or a suspected case? So the first thing we would ask, if you have knowledge about this, please contact your principal immediately, okay? Because we have protocols that we will have to follow. We will also follow up if we send your child home with COVID-related symptoms. We will also call you the next day to find out how your child is. So once we have a positive case, we will work with the county health department. We will notify our school medical director, Dr. DeTerzi, and we will implement contact tracing. So what does that mean? That means we will try to identify all of the people that either a teacher, staff member, or student came in contact with. We will identify the classrooms impacted, the areas of the building, and we will determine the extent of the closure, and then we will notify our school community of exposure and the closure. Social distancing is one of our key mitigation strategies for this school year in preventing and mitigating the spread of COVID. So what does that look like in our school setting? Well, multiple entrances will be used for arrival and dismissal in all of our buildings. I don't know if any of our principals are on the line who would like to just share what that does look like in some of our buildings. Well, okay, so multiple entrances and they have it all clearly marked out.
Dr. Spain, I can review at the middle school if you'd like. Yeah, no problem. At the middle school and much like the other principals, I'm going to have multiple entrances. There'll be three, one for each grade level. They'll be clearly signed and delineated. A nice example would be I'm bringing my sixth grade friends through the center stair door, which is right at the flagpole. And the reason I'm bringing them through that door in the morning is that is closest to where my sixth grade friends need to be in the morning. Of course, we'll have grab and go breakfasts that kids can grab on the way in, and it'll get them right to their class and lower the time that they're transitioning in the hallway.
Thank you.
Dr. Spring, it's Laura Tarlow. I can share as well.
Thank you.
Sure. So we will have three entrances in the morning, two for students and one dedicated to faculty and staff. Our 9th and 10th graders will be entering down by the glass vestibule entrance by the gymnasium. They'll be taking the main stairwell upstairs and we'll have grab and go breakfast table available to them. Our 11th and 12th graders will be entering through the main entrance. When they're checked in, they will take the front stairwell up to their classes. We will make sure students are spaced out and lined up outside of the building in the front of the school in two different line areas before they enter the building to make sure everybody's safe.
Thank you.
Dr. Spring, I can talk about Advanced Sky Grade School.
Thank you.
Advanced Sky Grade School, we'll be utilizing 4 doorways. We'll have the one in the back for our UPK 3 and 4 friends. And then we'll have the 3 front doorways will be used for the remainder of the students. We will have 6-foot distancing markers on the sidewalks outside of school where we usually come in. We'll be utilizing more of the sidewalk to make sure that we have 6 feet apart while students are waiting to come into the building. And then when they come in, we'll have the grab and go breakfast.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Our students
At Harmony
will,
Hill, Dr. Spring, we'll be
Okay.
doing very similar. We will have 3 doorways, and 2 grades will go into each doorway. They will be marked out, and all parents will know which doorway to drop them off in, and there'll be a blue and gold side to the door, so each grade will be assigned to a blue or a gold and a specific door. And there will be social distancing marks on the concrete out front.
Thank you. Mr. Byrd.
and our guys will come in the doors that they exited last year. 4 and 5 will come in the main door. Grades 2 and 3 will come in by the playground. So all of those parents can drop their kids off where we used to last year, right by the front of the building. First and second grades will be, or kindergarten and first grade, sorry, will be coming in the south end where the big parking lot is. So I would suggest that kindergarten and first grade parents drop their students off around the perimeter of that parking lot, and then we'll come in those 3 separate doors.
Well, thank you. And parents, don't worry, you will get these messages from your principals, and so you'll get all that information. So principals are also working on strategies for minimizing hallway contact during transitions. Students, as you know, will be spaced 6 feet apart in our classrooms. Lockers and locker rooms at the secondary level will not be used. And cubbies may be used in our elementary classrooms if space allows. And we are working to identify alternatives on placements of coats and book bags. So stay tuned on that one. Materials and supplies. Shared books brought home must be quarantined for 72 hours upon return. That means before we pass them on to the next student, we will have them in a holding place for 72 hours until we hand them out. Paper-based assignments should only be handled by individual student and teacher, with the teacher washing hands after handling each paper, and we aren't going to be mixing papers. So maybe folders and materials are shared, then we will wipe them down between student use. Desks will be disinfected and sanitized after students leave each day. And between classes at the secondary level, staff and students will wipe down student areas between classes. Would anyone like to add anything else on that slide? Okay, so facilities, cleaning and disinfecting protocols, obviously commonly touched areas, door handles, desks, tables will be cleaned and sanitized nightly, and we have fully implemented the CDC enhanced cleaning and disinfecting protocols. Our building automation systems will be utilized to increase the flow of outdoor air to the maximum that temperatures will allow. Filters have all been changed in our systems. Coils have been cleaned and commissioning is underway. We've also repaired window screens for increased ventilation. Now I'd like to ask our Director of Facilities, Jim Stapleton, to talk a little bit more about cleaning protocols and ventilation in our buildings.
Okay, so the ventilation system, I always try to tell everybody this because there's been a lot of talk about it. The ventilation system was engineered to be in the school. So what we're doing is we're making sure every piece of equipment works, everything is operating, and just know that it is what every school has to use. If teachers want to open the windows, I just ask to use a little common sense. You know, if it's 100 degrees outside, you're going to be letting 100-degree air in. And the same thing if it's really cold outside. So the cleaning and disinfecting, it's not going to change a whole bunch for the night cleaners, but it is going to look different for the day cleaners. definitely have commonly touched areas. We'll get a lot of things on schedules, the bathrooms, and just it'll all be on schedule and checked off throughout the day, so it'll be tracked when it was accomplished. Is there anything else you want to touch base on?
No, I think that's good. We'll see if we get other questions.
All right, thank you.
So hand and respiratory hygiene signage has been placed all around our buildings, serving as reminders to all of our students and our staff. Hand sanitizers will be available in every classroom, at building entrances, and in common areas. So contact tracing, as I mentioned, we will work with the Albany County Department of Health. We will trace all contacts in the school setting. As part of that, we will be keeping, as usual, accurate attendance and up-to-date student schedules. We do have visitor logs with health attestations at the entrances of all of our buildings. So visitors. Visitors to our school buildings will be restricted to those required for essential school business only. Parent meetings will be held virtually. I know that principals are planning our open houses and utilizing a different model, and you'll be hearing more about that. Use of bathrooms. We are arranging staffing with the goal of positioning teacher aides outside of bathrooms to ensure that usage is limited at any one time. Outside learning. Our teachers are so excited to take students outside and conduct class outside, and it's something that we greatly support. I think it's just a perfect opportunity right now while the weather is still nice. We have set up health safety rooms. So it is a separate area located inside the nurse's office at the high school, middle school in Harmony Hill, and at Lansing and in Van Skyke. It is in the main office conference room. So if a student is exhibiting symptoms related to COVID or feeling sick, then we would utilize that room. If your child needs meds or maybe fell on the playground and needs a Band-Aid, then that would just be a regular trip to the nurse's office as usual. So. Facilities, emergency drills, fire drills, lockdown drills, evacuation drills. So we are required to continue to prepare our students in how to respond quickly to these emergencies, and we will train our students how to do it, and we will conduct these drills in a manner that maintains social distancing at our exits and our hallways and gathering points. Obviously, we know that the goal is to do this very quickly, get students out of the building during a fire drill, and that will continue to be our goal. But we are going to do it so that we're maintaining our social distancing. We are looking at increased safety measures in our building since more of our classes will be outside. So we are considering radios and increasing the use of our safety officers in some of our elementary buildings. We've set up additional workspaces and lunch break areas for our staff at the elementary schools to accommodate social distancing for our staff as well. So instruction. So students in K-5 will be on site daily. I do have a question here that we'll get to about kindergarten screening. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But we have added additional sections to create reduced class sizes so that we can maintain the 6-foot distancing in our classrooms. But this may change, so it all depends. We do have all of our virtual class requests, and now we have to look at all of our existing in-person sections, and we have to see where we can consolidate and where we can transition to a virtual section. So more information on that. So students will be grouped in pods, as we mentioned. Special area teachers travel to classrooms to provide instruction. AIS teachers will push into classrooms. special education teachers and related service providers will push in as much as possible. Could we have Erin Hill, our Director of Special Programs, maybe talk about some of our special education classes this year for the in-person model?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Spring. In special ed, we have the interesting task of having times all spelled out in students' plans that we are supposed to be spending doing things, and places where we're supposed to do things, number of students that are supposed to be in a group. And those are all things that are not necessarily going to be completely as they are written. We're told by the New York State Education Department that it's our responsibility to implement the IEPs to the greatest extent possible. And our goal, just like other, parents' goals, is to figure out what your students have learned, what gaps do they have, and how quickly can we help them get caught up in learning. So it may not look exactly like what your student's IEP that we created in February or March says it will look like, but we will have teachers working either within the small class if there's enough room, or maybe pulling out a small group of students from the same pod that need to work more intensively on skills in order to get them back where they need to be academically.
Thank you. Ms. O'Shea, would you like to talk about maybe special area teachers, AIS?
Sure. So special area teachers, art, music, and phys ed will be going into the classrooms to provide instruction. And again, physical education will be outside in the beginning of the year as much as possible. And AIS teachers will also be pushing into the classrooms. And we are actually meeting with all the physical education teachers tomorrow. We understand how important movement is in students being able to have opportunities throughout the day. So we'll be discussing that.
Thank you. So what about kindergarten screening? Can we have one of our elementary principals talk about kindergarten screening?
Sure, I can talk about Van Skyke, and I know the same mostly at Abram Lansing and Harmony Hill. We will have kindergarten screening on September 9th, 10th, and 11th on those 3 days. You will receive a letter with a scheduled time for you. Parents will not be allowed to come into the building. You'll meet the classroom teacher at the door. Classroom teacher will take your child to the into the building and do the screening, let your child see the classroom, and then return the child back to the parents who will be waiting outside.
So what if, and we'll talk about the virtual model in a minute, but what if we have a kindergarten student who is signed up for the fully virtual model? So what does it look like for those students?
I believe that we are still going to be asking them to bring those students in on one of those 3 days so that we have an idea of where the student is at this time academically. So we have that information and that data. We'll be able to share that with the virtual teacher, but then the teacher, when they come back for in-person, will also have that information so that we can compare where we started from in September, where we are mid-year, and then again at the end of the year.
Very good, thank you. Would any of the other principals, elementary principals, care to add anything to that?
We will make sure that, especially those students that are going to be virtual, we can assure all their parents that we'll take every opportunity we have to make sure that they're safe. It will only be one student and one teacher at a time, so they won't be in a large crowd. But New York State does ask that we screen every new student that comes, and our kindergarten guys are all new. And as Mrs. DeChiro said, we really need to get a good sense of where they are academically. So when we do their teaching virtually, we know exactly what we need to prepare for.
Thank you. So students on site, okay, will be eating breakfast and lunch in their classrooms. Breakfast will be as grab and go. As students enter our buildings, they can grab that, bring it to their classroom. Lunches will be delivered to the classroom daily, and we do have peanut-aware rooms that will be designated, again, depending on if there are students with allergies, known allergies in the classroom. And aides will cover the classrooms during lunch. And yes, there will be recess following lunch. Outside. So at the secondary level, we do have an every other day model. The schools are both being divided into half. There will be a blue team and a gold team. When the blue team is on site, the gold team will continue learning at home. So what does the at-home learning day look like? Well, lessons will be self-guided. Assignments will be posted on Schoology or handed out during the in-person day, the in-person lesson. There could be videos or lecture notes that are posted, reading and writing activities, and exchanges through the discussion board. Numerical grades will be given, and principals are working with staff on how to track attendance for the at-home learning day through school tools. So please know this is a requirement through the New York State Education Department, where we do need to track attendance for both in-person and at-home learning. So here we are, our opt-in survey results. This is for the students and families who have selected the fully virtual model. So you can see the breakdown by grade level. So totally, we have 437 students who have selected this option. That's roughly about 24% of our student body. And for, obviously, we want all of our students. We would love to have all of our students in-person learning, but we know that this year that is not the best option, and families have had to make some hard decisions this year. So we're happy that we were able to offer this model. We are still working out the details. I will share that with you. But even 23% of our students in this model, we still have the majority, 3/4, 77% roughly of our students selecting the in-person option for learning this school year. So what will it look like? Well, students will be expected to connect online with their class and their teacher beginning at 9 a.m. and the day will be over at 2:45 p.m. Again, it mirrors closely the in-person school day. Students will have 2 hours a day of ELA, an hour of math, an hour and 45 minutes divided among science, social studies, social emotional learning, and other things that the teacher feels that are important to teach and review with students. There will be lunch between 11:30 to 12:30. Specials, art, music, and PE will be self-directed and project-based. Participation in these areas can occur during the lunch break or after school. Students will be grouped by grade level, with students joined from the district's 3 elementary schools. Zoom and/or Google Meets will be the meeting platform. Google Classroom will continue to be utilized for students to access materials and assignments. Textbooks and workbooks will also be provided. So we are setting up a day when we will distribute those, and we will let our families know when that will occur. Special ed students and our ENL students will receive direct and indirect supports. And again, as I said earlier, attendance will be taken daily. So at the secondary level, we will have blue and gold teams again. And so students in the virtual learning model will be assigned to a team, and they will alternate every other day between synchronous, which means live instruction with their teacher, and asynchronous, which is self-directed with lessons that are recorded or posted online. So during the live instruction day, students will be expected to be online according to their period by period schedule. So virtual sections of classes are being created, and virtual and in-person classes are not going to be mixed. So at the secondary level, an emphasis will be placed on ELA, math, science, social studies, world languages, and regions courses. And every effort will be made at the high school to offer virtual opportunities in advanced courses and electives, but due to staffing and enrollment considerations, not all courses will be available in the fully virtual model. We are doing our best, though. At the middle school, art, music, and PE classes will be more project-based and/or self-directed, and we will continue to take period-by-period attendance. Are there any other comments by any of our principals regarding the virtual model? Would anyone like to share any additional information?
This is Peggy. We have received some questions about the elementary model, about it seeming like a long time for students in front of a computer. So I want to just make sure that parents know that, that is the time requirement. We have certain time requirements for ELA, for math, under some regulations. However, it won't just be the students sitting there and watching the teacher instruct the entire time. The teacher will start whole group lessons, then break up into some small group work. Our platforms do allow us to have students break out into groups and work with each other virtually as the teacher monitors. Also, students will have their materials, so they'll be able to be doing some independent work and then showing the teacher their work, so the teacher will be able to be working with them. So even though that's the time requirement that they are online, there's going to be different activities throughout that time period, and also some movement activities incorporated as well throughout the day.
Thank you. So technology, Chromebooks. So I do have an email here from a parent who is asking about Chromebooks. This parent would like to purchase for her child and would like some information about what would be a good Chromebook and where can you buy these. Sylvie, can you help us with that? Well, hopefully he is here. So, okay.
Jennifer, give him 1 minute. He'll be at his desk in 1 minute.
Okay, so I'll continue and then we'll have him chime in. So we have purchased a number of Chromebooks this year for our students, and we are still awaiting most of those to be delivered. There is a little glitch with the supply chain this year with the Chromebooks coming in overseas from China. And I'm not sure when those will be scheduled to arrive, but we're still working on getting Chromebooks in to our students' hands as soon as possible.
What was the question, Dr. Spring? I had to step away for just a moment.
Okay, so a parent's asking, well, which is the best Chromebook to purchase and where can I buy these?
Yeah, I mean, there really is no best Chromebook. I mean, depending on the cost, you're going to get different bells and whistles, but the basic Chromebook, I mean, you can get one for anywhere from 150 to 500 or more. The basic Chromebook will function and do everything that we need the students to do. So, I mean, it really depends on what your preference is. I've said this time and time again, a Chromebook is a Chromebook is a Chromebook. If it's the Chrome OS on that device, then we're fine.
Thank you. So again, we're not, requiring parents to buy Chromebooks for their children, but if a parent would like to, then we can definitely assist you with if you have any questions about which one might be a good model. So
If you
parent,
want me to provide some recommendations or models or brands that we have used here, I can certainly do that.
yeah, that would be great. And we can have, we can add that question to our FAQs on our website for parents to view. That would be great. So Parent Square, hopefully you got our survey that we sent out last Friday. So far, we have over 1,000 completed. We will be sending out a reminder. When is the deadline? Is it this Friday?
Friday.
This Friday. Okay, so we will be sending out a reminder. And this is to give us a better idea of, you know, do you have access to devices in the home for our students to use? How many do you have? And what about your internet? Is it reliable? Do you have internet? So those are some questions that we'll be asking. And again, we want to help. So we are working on getting device donations from area businesses to give directly to families. Kajit, we did place an order for MiFi hotspots for some of our students. And BOCES and Spectrum are forming a partnership to offer home internet. As soon as we know more, we will also pass this information on to our families. All right, so I do have some questions here. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Someone can't get onto the link for the reopening plan. Huh. Well, I'll have to check that out. That's obviously a big problem. So I'll check that out and I'll definitely get back to you on that one. Let's see. Okay, here's a very long one. Let's see if I can take a look. So we have a first grader entering the fully virtual option. There will be another adult facilitating their child's participation. And they've arranged the hours. So the hours they've arranged with this adult do not align. Okay, will there be any flexibility allowing to accommodate a different schedule? So that is the schedule. I think we're going to have to follow up with this parent individually, but so that is the schedule for that grade level because at the elementary, because it is synchronous, it is live with a teacher every single day. Again, we're trying to simulate the in-person environment as best as we can. So that is the plan, but we'll reach out to this parent specifically. So let's see. Okay, are there any other comments that our principals or directors would like to share or add for our families? So I do see we have our athletic director, Jeff Huno, on our call with us. Jeff, any updates on athletics?
Good afternoon. Yes, Governor Cuomo announced today at his press conference that he will be giving guidance on high school athletics sometime next week. So we'll know more then.
Okay, so at this time, it is scheduled to begin September 21st, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we'll wait till next week for more information on that. Anyone else? Okay, very good. So I really appreciate our families for joining us today. Please continue to send your questions to feedback@cohoes.org. Continue to reach out to our principals here as well, or any of us. We're here to help, and we're grateful for our partnership and working through all of this together. Again, our reopening plan is on our website, and we're continuing to flesh out those details of the plan, and we're working together to make sure that our parents are informed of those details. So at this time, we're going to sign off. And again, we appreciate your comments, and we will definitely be in touch. Thank you very much for attending, and have a great rest of the day, everybody.